Good evening, guys. Almost forgot to turn my microphone off. Welcome to the Sphons CCW Live Show. Brought to you by, of course, Sphons CCW, thisandthatdistribution.com, and the Minerva Sportsmans Club. So what do we got for you tonight? Upcoming classes. 3-7. Got a concealed carry class. Stuck one in there because we kept filling up. So if you want to get in a concealed carry class, 3-7, got one on 3/28. Got 7 or 8 slots left in that one. February 22nd, 23rd is going to be defensive pistol. So if you want to get in on a defensive pistol class, we got two, three slots in that. We could probably stuff 3 in there. If you're interested in instructor classes, 5/16, 5/17 is going to be basic pistol on the 16th. And 17th is going to be the instructor portion for pistol instructor. 7/11 and 7/12 is personal protection in the home. The 11th is going to be the student portion of personal protection in the home, and the 12th is going to be the instructor portion. And then I just got it up on the website. Once again, guys, links in the description below. So if you want to go check it out, we've been working on this class for, a year?
Yeah, quite some
about
time.
a year. We're calling it the Protectors Summit. These are going to be scheduled by you folks unless we get a ton of interest in it, and then we have to start scheduling them ourselves. What is it? It's a class for anybody who is responsible for other safety. So if you are a church protector, if you are a armed citizen, if you are a daycare owner, business owner, anytime that you are going to be responsible for somebody else's safety in any type of conflict, this is going to be what you're going to want to look at. There's a ton of information in this class. It is a minimum 24-hour class. It is not an automatic pass when you pay your money class. There are certain standards that you must meet. It's going to be mentally and physically challenging, and it's going to be a good class. We've tested this a couple times. We've had some good feedback on it. So if you want to know what it's all about, head on down to the website and check it out and let us know what you think. If you want to get one scheduled for your organization, give us a line, 740-422-9482, or message us on Facebook, YouTube, send us an email, sponsccw@gmail.com, and we can get you rolling on something like that. What do we got for shooting events? March 1st, we got a Circle X shoot coming up down to Minerva Sportsmans Club. So mark your calendars for that. It's going to be, what is it, 1 to 4? Bring the family out. Everybody's welcome. It'll be a good time. So we always do a little bird shooting. We've been trying out a couple new bird games while we're doing our Circle X shooting and giving away cash prizes. So come on down, have a little fun. So training and shooting tip. I try and pair these up with the videos that we find. Non-standard positions and practicing your muzzle and trigger control during those non-standard positions, and then introducing a shot timer in your shooting to create artificial stress where you're trying to beat that time and working on it each week. You go to the range, each month you go to the range, you want to work on getting a little better. And what do we mean by non-standard positions? Sitting down, laying down, we call that supine if your feet are toward the target. Laying on your face, on either side. You know, if you're on your right side or on your left side, acquiring and engaging a target is very, very much different when you are in the horizontal plane than when you're in the vertical plane.
Well, even getting people down into the kneeling position, it completely changes this thing. You know, one of the big things you go over with your fundamentals is your part of that is your, you know, your platform, your shooting position, and, you know, building that stable position and stuff like that. So you start getting into these non-standard positions, and
throw all that out.
Your platform isn't, you know,
yeah.
You may be laying on your side, and, you know, you're have the ability to roll and move. You know, if you're kneeling, you got 1 foot flat. You're just kind of resting on a, you know, on the edge of your knee, stuff like that. So your platform can start to become unstable. So now you are really relying heavily on the fact that you've practiced all your fundamentals. So now you're, you know, all your other ones they're going to be taxed if you don't have a good grasp on them.
Sure.
So you really need to work on stuff like that, and it'll help you improve as a shooter too.
Yeah, and we see a lot of stuff happening to pretty decent and experienced shooters when you start putting them in non-standard positions, and
even introducing the shot timer.
Yeah, they
stuff
stuff like you know, the slide not locking back because they didn't have a good grip.
Yeah.
You know, misses that they don't think, and you don't think that they should be happening outside of the target. Balance issues. I mean, you gotta test all this kind of stuff before you
actually need it.
Yeah, sure. If you've never shot from a down position or a kneeling position, a sitting position, it is very much different than standing in front of your target. We talked last week about getting off the X, I do believe. Yep, it was last week. We talked about getting off the X and getting moving. This goes right along with that.
Well, and, you know, as far as like kneeling, getting down, stuff like that, you know, going along with that, get off the X. A lot of your sources of cover in what we would call our naturally occurring modern world aren't 6 foot tall and 3 feet wide.
Yeah.
No. So you see a lot of, low barriers, Jersey barriers, curbs, fire hydrants, not saying cars are cover, but, get behind the engine block and they're kind of unreliable, but, places to hide, stuff like that. All of which require you to be either flat on the ground or kneeling or sitting or squatting or any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes right along with, all that practice of all of the other things. You need to do those, and getting those positions in now will sure. Now you know how to handle that.
And along with that, the kneeling position is a good place to start, or sitting or something. You introduced a shot timer into that, and we all know, and we were even talking with a couple in here just a few minutes ago about how long it takes to get 21 feet for somebody coming at you. You got 2 seconds to draw and shoot.
Yeah.
If you're lucky. And to introduce that shot timer, show people where they're really at.
Yeah. You can establish that baseline with a shot timer and know on the places like where I need to improve on my speed. And not always is it just going faster to improve that speed on that shot timer. A lot of times it's okay, well, I need to smooth my draw stroke out and it'll be faster. But it'll kind of point those things out to you where a lot of people, they go faster and they think they're going faster. And then you introduce a shot timer and they actually find out that
they're going slower.
They're going slower. They just feel faster because they're telling themselves to go faster, where you actually slow them down and get all of the steps right. And they shave, like, all of a sudden they look at their time and they go, wow, like that felt slow, but it's considerably faster.
Eliminate all the extra movement.
And we're always on here talking about that time.
Yeah.
You want that time, you want that distance, and if you can do things efficiently and with good time management, that gains you more time.
Yeah. And more distance.
Yes.
And more distance.
And more distance. Well, going right along that same line, non-standard positions, introducing shot timers, you know, we're huge advocates of training with the gear you're going to carry, training with the gear you're going to have at that point in time. So what you got to do, make sure your gear's going to work in non-standard positions. If you're appendix carry and you're on your face, you're going to have to make adjustments to get at that firearm.
Yeah.
If you're strong side carry and you have to roll to engage the target, you have to make adjustments to get that to that firearm. Small of the back, shoulder, it doesn't matter. You're going to have to make adjustments if you hit the ground.
Yeah.
And you know, upcoming video, you're going to get to see somebody hit the ground. But the thing is, what really kind of we deal with in the north is inclement weather.
Yes.
I mean, this last week with nasty snow and ice and stuff like that.
Yeah, just walking down the street, you know, you're gonna bam on your butt.
So
did that last year.
If somebody decides, you know, they're going to give you a shove and it's icy out, they may be doing that purposely because they have good footing and they know that you're going to hit the ground.
Yeah, absolutely.
Raining or whatever. So make sure that gear is going to work. Make sure that, you know, if you fall down, that your pistol doesn't go flying across the parking lot or the store aisle or something like that. Make sure that your spare magazine doesn't come flying out of your magazine holder. A couple other things is make sure that you can get to your spare magazine if you are in a non-standard position. I know a lot of guys who like to pocket carry their magazines in clips and stuff like that. But if you're in jeans and that magazine is in your pocket, you can't get to it in the seated position. You're going to have to make an adjustment or move out of your position to get to that spare magazine. You just cannot. I can't reach in my pocket when I'm sitting down if I'm wearing jeans. So
no, yeah.
You know, can you safely reholster in your non-standard position? Does the gun work when it's tilted sideways? We've seen firearms that will not work unless they're vertical. And, you know, I won't mention any names, but there's a couple pretty expensive models that if you lay them over onto the left side, they don't eject properly. They actually do eject properly, but the cartridge comes out and then it goes right back in the open chamber. And then now you're doing a malfunction drill. So make sure that the gun works on its left side, on its right side, upside down. I mean, it would be really bad if you had to deploy your firearm and you fell down or were knocked down and it quit working on its side.
Well, and as far as doing like your reloads, even like, okay, does the gun function, stuff like that, I run out and I do my reload, you know, depending upon what style you use to put the slide back down, whether you're using the slide stop or, you know, slingshot method, you know, can you do that if you're laying on your side, you get the magazine in. If you got like me being a lefty, a lot of guns aren't built with a slide stop on where my thumbs would be.
Yeah.
So I use a lot of slingshot. Well, is my arm trapped? If I lay down and I'm like this, what do I have to do to now try and figure that out? And all that stuff, you need to know how that happens, because if you find yourself in that position, you know, like you said, the bad guy comes over and, you know, knocks you down, or you take a dive because you know, bullets start flying.
Well, and also if your gun is canted one way or the other, left or right, your sights are going to be completely different. You know,
Sure.
you've transposed them.
Yeah, you got that inch offset.
Yeah.
Either direction.
Yeah, you still have those offsets, but instead of being,
if you're 90 degrees this way, your backside is now the up and down.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know.
So
you got to think about stuff like that and practice that.
Lots of stuff to think about out there. There's always learning to be done. Yes, we do that kind of stuff in a defensive pistol, protector summit type scenario. So
yeah, you will be tested.
It's interesting to get, you know, upside down and sideways when you're shooting. So and the other thing is have fun with it, right? Don't make it a chore. Have fun with it. Get out to the range. like anything else. If it's a chore, if you're not at least enjoying yourself, then you're probably not going to do it as often as you should.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you guys got anything to add out there in the car with Joshua bouncing around in the back seat?
Yeah, we shut down his lights, so
Oh, shut down his
he's
mic.
gone now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the biggest thing is maintaining practice. I know tonight I spent 50 rounds shooting with my weekend.
Yeah.
And getting used to that.
It's like you got a
Having hard
Muppet.
time grasping live.
Yeah. It's like you got a Muppet in the back seat.
A lot like that, actually. The whole truck's moved.
Yeah. Nice. Kids are great, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, so let's take a look at this video, and we'll see what we think of this here. Hopefully, you guys on the panel can see it. We got to get rid of our mugs here. All right, so I'm gonna watch this through once, and then I got some slow spots that we can kind of slow down with it, kind of get a grasp of what's going on here. This looks like a big box store or retailer.
Mm-hmm.
Another angle from the security camera footage. And it looks like the perpetrator is down. We don't know if he's hit or just gave up. What I want you guys to do, I tried to draw some circles on this video, and I couldn't really get it done in time. I want you to notice right here in this area here, this officer is going to come barreling across through here with them two signs. And notice right in here, and we're going to slow this clip down quite a lot here. Here he comes, blam. I want you to notice the muzzle flash. I don't know if you can get that. You can see where his foot is. I don't know if we can get that muzzle flash in that right here somewhere. Right there.
Yeah.
See how his foot, he is very, very, very close to his own foot.
He went right under his
And
foot.
if you look at it, the bullet traveled kind of horizontal through here. We can't really see the bullet path.
He was
but-
way ahead of that guy.
And now he sits up and he's tracking the target, which is good. Like I said, at first glance, this video looks like a great event, I guess. But now we can see the guy comes out, and what's he got here? He loses his firearm or weapon, and it is over here by the pop machines, and he goes down. And as we can see, he's going to take a right or left in his area. Now, if we look right here, we can still see the glass coming out through this window. Now, perpetrator X exited through this door, okay? He's come through here and then made a left. I don't have any idea why shots would be coming. This is probably 8 to 10 feet because there's two windows and a door from where he's at.
Mm-hmm.
So we got rounds coming through this glass, and it looks like they're going to impact the flower display here. And then the camera's going to switch over, and it looks like he takes a couple more shots right there. And at that point in time, the perpetrator goes down. But I want you guys to notice something else. If we back this up just a little bit, he comes in, takes a couple more shots, follows the target to the ground, which is good. Right here, he's reaching for a magazine or something.
He's hunting for it.
And he's hunting for it. He doesn't know where that piece of gear that he's looking for is at. So he's hunting for the thing. He's done a decent job up to this point, right? But he's hunting for his gear. He should be a little bit better prepared with his gear. I understand that your worst range day is better than you're going to perform under stress when something like this happens. So this may be the advent of that stress coming into play here. But here's what I got a major issue with. He turns his back on the perpetrator and then heads around the corner. Now, according to the other surveillance camera in this way, the perpetrator's over here. Now, we don't know if he's going to get back up. We don't know if he's down because he's been hit. We don't know if he's just given up. But the officer has turned his back right about here and then came back around. Now he's doing the right thing. He's seeking cover. All of this kind of stuff around here is going to be good cover. You're looking at refrigerated cabinets, glass, things to hide behind. So he's seeking cover in case this guy gets back up. But why did he turn his back on? Why didn't he back up around here and then seek his cover while keeping his eye on the perpetrator? So that's my problem. And now he's going to kind of stop back in here. He's far enough away and turn around and take a gander at the situation and make sure nothing else is going on. So that's my take on this video. I think he did a couple of things right. He didn't get any holes in him, but I also think there could be some improvements on this particular situation. And
I think that's more like we kind of what we talked to about, with our, we've talked about this every show basically is, training and training with the gear that you're going to be using.
Yeah.
All the time. I mean, his setup, whatever your setup you decide to use, whether you're a civilian, law enforcement, anybody like that, whatever setup you decide to run, whether it be, be on a belt, a vest, in your pockets, anything like that, before you commit to that as your, your EDC, your everyday carry stuff, you should go to the range and practice with it and practice until those movements of what, your draw, your reloads, all of those little things that all add up to that big picture, those should become very second nature to you. So, and anytime you change it, you should go to the range. And that's why, a lot of us are real big, huge, fans of kind of pecking a mode of carry and sticking with it as much as possible. I mean,
in manual arms on a gun.
Yeah, and certain situations, I might carry a little bit differently depending upon, I might carry a little bit differently. If I'm out hunting, I might carry a, in a shoulder holster, but I've also got a rifle on me, so I'm going to take the advantage of a rifle.
One thing that we don't really talk about a whole lot on the show, or haven't talked about a whole lot on the show, is your liability behind the shots that you fire. The first shot the officer fired that we could see the muzzle flash. Obviously, completely missed the assailant. We don't know how many people were on the other side of that wall and or exit. We don't know what it was built out of. We don't know anything, right? So that shot missed. And then at least 3 shots that came through the window missed the assailant. And we don't know if they were stopped by the flower display or if they kept right on going out in the parking lot. As a police officer, police officers have a mandate by the public to enforce the law and deal with this kind of stuff. So, they have a little bit more leeway when it comes to their personal liability for the rounds that they fire out of their gun. Had this been a regular citizen defending himself, even though they were completely justified in defending themselves, the bad part about it is that store could have said, well, yeah, you did a good job and defended yourself, but guess what? You're going to pay for a window at minimum.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody would have been,
And then on top of that, anything that was hit in the parking lot, every individual, that owns the car or whatever has the right to come after you also.
Yep. And that's not assuming that or looking at the fact that there could be other people in that line of fire. So you're going to be responsible for them also. And, once again, that's why we keep kind of hitting on the accuracy and speed issues, especially in our classes where, the accuracy counts first. No matter how many rounds you fire, if you miss every one of them, or even if you miss half of them, you're only half as effective as if you would have shot half as many rounds at a slightly slower pace.
Yeah.
So
I think adrenaline just got the best of him in this one.
yeah, I think so.
That's where finding ways to put yourself under a little stress while you're at the range, and like you talked about earlier, I don't think he's ever fired a round from his back like he had to there. He was unaware of where his feet were, etc. But yeah, put yourself under some stress. Try some different, angles and positions. But I think he did what he could do the best he could at that point, though.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm not faulting for that.
I think my head issue with the whole thing, I agree with it. He did the best he could under the stressful situation that he was in. The worst part I saw was he didn't check to see if the perpetrator was actually out of commission before he turned his back on him.
Yeah.
And if we all know that we've all heard of people who've been shot multiple times with 9mm and 40s and 45s and got back up and, continued to fight.
Yeah.
Got back
Absolutely.
up and continue to fight, or
All he had to do
find
was
him at
get
the
up and
hospital
fire
or-
one round into that cop's back and
Yeah.
go over. It didn't matter whether he got the guy down outside.
No.
Yeah. But
And
Yeah, I'm not real sure if he was under the assumption that he put him down with a round.
Yeah.
I'm not real sure why he was fleeing anyhow.
Yeah.
If he was under the assumption that he went down with a round, I would have stayed on target.
Yeah, exactly.
well, the other
Or at
thing
least backed up. So.
the other thing that we have to look at, armed citizen versus police officer, was as the police officer came out, the first round fired, the perpetrator was coming at him. All the subsequent rounds from there, outside of when we kind of lost sight of the officer's firearm through the video camera, that person was actually on their way out. They were trying to leave that fight. So as an armed citizen, we have to make sure that if that person, even if we had fired rounds at them previously to begin with, if they take off running, right, and they're not a specific threat, we're going to have to, at minimum, think about that long enough to say, hey, this person's running away. Now, the dude dropped his gun, and I would imagine what happened was the dude was running away, he dropped his gun, he went back after the gun, and the officer re-engaged because the person was going back after their firearm. That would be completely acceptable for an armed citizen.
yeah.
I don't know a lot of judges and juries that would have, specifically faulted that particular officer if he'd have been an armed citizen to those 3 to 4 rounds that he fired in between. But what we have to understand is that's prosecutorial discretion. We can't rely on a prosecutor or an officer's good grace to protect us from something like that. We might have a prosecutor that just decides, I don't like you, we're going to take this case.
Mhm.
So
And you can't even come on a jury.
No.
Acquit or convict you.
Yeah.
Either way. It's
and
kind of a guesswork.
that's one of the things that's completely up in the air, and would be hard for any person, officer, armed citizen, whatever, is that particular span in there.
Right.
You're going to have to train yourself not only to shoot accurately and quickly. You're going to have to train yourself
to stop. Yeah.
And not shoot.
and
You know,
not
yeah.
shoot and evaluate that situation.
Right. Yep, that's true. You know, no shoots. You know, that's why we always incorporate a no shoot into a stressful, you know, like a class or something like that. You have to think about what you're doing. And even in CCW, we'll, you know, use it with the numbers game. So,
Okay. All right. So I'm going to try and reconnect Ryan and Corey. For entry level, well, we got a David Ramirez asking, "Hi everyone, 770 and 308, or a 783 and 7mm for entry level. Each one's $250. Definitely 308.
Yeah.
7mm Rem mag in an entry level 783 is going to tear your head off.
That's a lot. You know, you're 7mm. You know, now you're into Magnum cartridges. You're gonna have a lot more wear and tear on a rifle, a lot more wear and tear on you, and the cost of ammo is going to be a lot more prohibitive to shoot. I don't know if you're a reloader, but even reloading, it's going to be more money to reload to 7mm. But if you're paying retail price for the ammo, 7mm is going to be, you know, exuberantly expensive. Where 308, you know, if you want to check out, you know, Jason's video he did, you know, what was that, last week on he took a bunch of 308 cartridges down to the range and kind of videoed them and showed you the shot groups, all different different brands, different aspects to them, but all pretty reasonably inexpensive stuff as far as 308. American Eagle, Tula, PPU.
Yeah, 2 brands of PPU.
Two different kinds of PPU, American Eagle and Tula. And, you know, if you want to, you know, go, you know, look on our YouTube channel and look at that video, but I would definitely go with a 308.
I would definitely go with a 308. Cost of shooting and recoil, especially if you're doing entry level. The thing about entry level is it's entry level, so you have to be able to afford to shoot the thing to get out of the entry level situation. And in 7mm Magnum, even most 7mm, a 7mm Express, 7mm .8, cost of ammunition is going to be way more, and the availability of ammunition is going to be way more. The other thing is, depending upon how much you want to shoot, Remington, I understand that you got a $250 budget, but Remington offers a 783 and 308 with a varmint profile barrel, which is a step above the pencil barrels that they offer. It's not going to be more accurate, but you'll be able to shoot more rounds before the barrel heats up and stuff like that. So take a look at one of those. They also come with a laminated stock, so the rifle's going to be a little heavier, but that's going to significantly reduce the recoil. So
and the 308, you know, you're looking at an entry level rifle now, and like you said, that 783 with that varmint barrel, you know, you get yourself a good set of optics, and you know, you start entry level and start, you know, figuring out how to zero and, you know, and learning all these things. The caliber that you're shooting can take you into, you know, all the way up to the advanced levels, and, you know, out to now shooting at, you know, 1,000 plus yards. You know, some of your equipment might have to upgrade, you know, at that point in time, but you've learned that caliber.
Yeah.
And once you've learned that, you have all that data. You can start writing that data down right from day one. And as you know, years down the road, when you know, now you're an advanced level shooter with that same caliber, you can reference that data the entire time.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. So yeah, practice. You got to get out of the entry level somewhere or not another, and practice is going to do that. Your call dropped, huh, guys? I noticed that on this end of the screen, Ryan hadn't blinked in over a minute, so so I kind of wondered if something had froze up.
Does wonders.
Yeah. You had the same facial expression. You hadn't moved, you hadn't blinked, and nothing for over a minute.
I don't know what happened.
something.
Yeah, with the iPhone, we can't call back, so we're just kind of out.
Yeah, stupid Apple stuff.
Yeah,
Well, we're going to do some news. What do you think?
we try not to think too much.
Yeah?
It affects,
Yeah.
it affects the trigger finger,
That's-
right?
Well, that's where headaches come from too.
Yeah. I don't like headaches. All right, let's get back to this. Anybody in the Second Amendment world is going to see this. This is kind of spawned out of the Virginia mess that they got going down there, and it continues to be an issue. I pulled this article up on Stark County, but there is several Second Amendment sanctuary petitions running around. I'm not going to sit and read this whole article, but
a bunch of counties that have already signed to be
there is-
Second Amendment
there's a
sanctuaries
bunch
in
of
Ohio.
counties that have already signed to be Second Amendment sanctuaries. We've got petitions here. I do have some reservations about Second Amendment sanctuary things in the news. We have seen several people. I have talked to maybe a half a dozen people, and what we have to understand, guys, is Second Amendment sanctuary resolutions are just that. They're resolutions. They are statements that the voters are powerful enough to remove and or vote out elected representatives come the next election cycle if they do not go the way that they are told by the voters to go. They are not laws. They don't remove laws. They don't change laws. They don't really do anything but make a statement that says, we're not going to put up with any crap. And we have the number of signatures and the number of voters available and willing to come out and be active in the political process. So do not trample on our rights.
Yeah.
I really, really like the Second Amendment sanctuary thing. It means that people are active in the political process, but I don't want anybody to misunderstand what the Second Amendment sanctuary means or what it does or does not do.
Well, and a lot of, everybody watching this knows that, there's a lot of, say, other side media out there that really likes to try and spin that and, kind of throw just a play on confusion.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
And
there may be a bunch of
everybody-
people that may be completely for it, but the way that they've thrown the spin and from what they're gathering, looking up, articles and news media on it, might, shy somebody away from that because they think, well, I don't know, a lot of it, they just don't know. So, everybody needs to do their research and be active in their, active in your, your local politics, be active in your township, your village, your state, your county, federal government. Be active in politics. That's one of the big things we have here in this country, and it's one of the things that there's so many millions of people around the world that just want to have their voice heard, and you get to go to the polls, pretty much about every year, depending upon what kind of local stuff's going on and state, federal. There's just about every November somebody is getting elected that you can go vote for, and you need to go vote.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's the thing. There's more power to be gained by local voting, even than federal. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Because they directly control, the laws that affect you the most.
When one of the things that drives me nuts about, and I haven't sat down and figured out, the population demographics of Virginia, but I think part of that too was, like, you see all these resolutions for all these counties, but that was an awakening to everybody that signed those petitions. That if you have the voter population, you all went and signed those petitions in the voter population, and it was something you didn't want. and you knew who the governor was going to be and what he was going to
Right.
try and pull,
Yeah.
you should have made the effort. You should have went to the polls.
I saw something
That
today
November.
that they've the voter turnout in Virginia in the last election was 38%. It's no wonder they got a Democratic legislature and governor, and it's like, if you're not going to vote,
There's a polling place.
You know.
I mean,
I understand it's hard to get there, but
there's a
it's hard
polling
for
place
everyone.
everywhere, and I mean, work full time and come here and work all night. Work into the evenings, and I have time to vote.
Yeah, I don't.
The, the polling place. I have time to vote.
Yeah.
I can get up and 6 o'clock in the morning. The polling place is open. I can go vote. So everybody should go vote.
Right.
Absolutely. So we got another goofy article here. This thing doesn't. High on meth, an Akron man shoots and kills the wrong guy.
This sounds like this is like a Captain Obvious type.
Yeah, pretty much. This article goes on to say that this dude here, apparently in the middle, because he's wearing the orange shirt, I'm assuming, he hadn't slept in a week, was high on meth, and was mad. This dude, Sonny Howard, went looking for the man who had broken into his apartment, and when he thought he saw the intruder, he fired a single shot. Howard later realized the man he killed wasn't the burglar. In fact, he had never met Daniel Lee Jones, a Worcester father with 8 children and stepchildren. He shot and killed the wrong person, said the assistant prosecutor, Jonathan. Yeah, sure. Said Thursday during Howard's sentencing. Howard, 26, pleaded guilty Thursday under the agreement with prosecutors to a murder and a 1-year gun specification. So why'd they give him a 1-year gun specification and
because he pled guilty?
Yeah, but I don't know. Prosecutors dismissed the other charges, which included an aggravated murder charge that carried a potential sentence of life without parole. Yeah, I was trying to skim this thing here and find out how much time.
Life in prison, eligible for parole at 16 years.
After 16 years. All right, so this just goes on to describe a bunch of stuff that probably we already know. It's just the headline caught my eye. High on meth, Ackerman shoots and kills the wrong guy. So what the heck? I mean, nobody got any sense no more.
I don't know. Maybe light bulb moment. Don't do meth.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't do meth.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that seems to be the whole issue. I mean, if the guy wasn't on meth, he probably wouldn't have shot the other dude. So
he probably would have slept.
My question is, what happened to the guy that he meant to shoot?
I don't know. I don't think even the article don't say. I don't even think they went and looked for him. But
I mean, there had to be a reason. Well, I guess it didn't really have to be a reason. He was on meth, but
probably breaking in to steal his meth.
I would imagine.
I think there was a reason.
Well, he said his apartment was broke into, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just
that's a new one.
Yeah, well, sure. The news cycle is going to get a little weirder.
How is it going to get weirder?
A suspect is arrested after attacking a father with a hammer in a Mount Orab home.
All righty.
A father in Mount Orab was hit in the head with a hammer more than 30 times by a man who broke into his home. You know, that first sentence, it just tells me I'm not going to let somebody hit me in the head with a hammer 30 friggin' times.
No.
If I'm still awake after 1 or 2, I'm getting, you're going to get clobbered with something else. I mean, there's got to be a backup plan and a backup plan to the backup plan if somebody's swinging a hammer at me. But it says Michael Taylor endured a bloody gash that required 5 staples in his head. So in other words, the guy swinging the hammer wasn't very strong. He also was suffering from a possible concussion. I would hope so. The robbery happened around 8 p.m. Thursday on Robin Avenue as Taylor and his 2 small sons were arriving home. He said, my 7-year-old was first in. I never heard him scream like that, Taylor said. The guy apparently had him. He had some marks on his neck. Then Taylor went inside to face the intruder. He said he knew what had to be done. Came around the corner of my house and he had a hammer in his hand. And that point in time, it was fight or flight, and he's standing between me and my sons, Taylor said. The two fought hard until the suspect finally took off running down the street. I had him in a headlock and rolled him out the door, Taylor said. Mount Ora police said the suspect, Anthony Holland, 44, was arrested on Sunday and taken into custody. Holland was wanted on aggravated burglary and assault. Police are applauding the actions Taylor took to keep his family out of harm's way. We all don't know what we're going to do when we're put in those types of situations. The only thing I can tell you is you need to do what you need to do to protect your family and yourself, Captain Jason Hahn said. Police said the suspect has been arrested for at least 2 burglaries in the past.
I like the statement by the
officer,
by the captain. Go down. The only thing I can tell you is you need to do what you need to do to protect your family and yourself. We all know, and watching this or you follow us or anything like that, we all know that we support all of our police and we applaud them for everything that they do, and they do. We've had to have them down here, a time or two, and they all do, they do very well and they do everything that they can, but for the time it takes for them, for all of the things that happen from the time that you call on them for them to get to you, minutes pass by.
Mm-hmm.
And in situations where you don't have minutes,
right,
you need to do what you need to do to protect your family and yourself.
Exactly. Absolutely. All right, so even weirder, there was a shootout near Yellow Springs. Could have been an ambush in Greene County, the sheriff says. A shooting on Grinnell Road that left a man and a woman dead could have been a possible ambush, Greene County Sheriff Gene Fisher said, but authorities have not established a motive. One of the victims was the ex-wife of a male homeowner who shot her in an exchange of gunfire in or near the driveway of the home in the 3400 block of Grinnell Road, according to the Greene County Sheriff. I've not seen anything like this, Fisher said. The preliminary investigation indicates that a man with a gun approached a vehicle as it pulled into the driveway. The home was shot in an exchange of gunfire by the male homeowner who was in that vehicle. The male homeowner was a passenger in the vehicle and has a concealed carry permit, the sheriff said. The ex-wife of the homeowner drove up to the scene soon after the first shooting. She was armed with a gun and was killed in an exchange of gunfire with the male homeowner. The names of the 3 people involved have not been released. Authorities have recovered 3 firearms and are awaiting a search warrant to enter the house. Local residents said she knew the gunfire wasn't related to hunting when she heard yelling. She said she heard 4 gunshots. It sounded like they came from a large gun. People shoot guns in the Glen all the time, but it's past hunting season, and it was a big gun and went on for several seconds. And the yelling, she said, it was clear some kind of personal conflict. The shooting was reported around 11 a.m. Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation was requested to the scene. 2 people who live at the house were not injured. Deputies believe there may have been surveillance video of the shooting. I would not expect us to have a shootout on Grinnell Road in the middle of a cornfield in Yellow Springs, the resident said. So, quick side note, I had another article about this shooting up, and it looks like it may have been ex-wife, new boyfriend, trying to rob, steal, ambush, something like that.
Kind of what it sounds like.
And but hey, it looks like, from all preliminary reports, it looks like the good guy with the gun won this one. But we ain't sure about that yet. So hopefully we get some more news out on that here pretty soon. We'll try and keep up with that. But like most of these news articles, it's generally a one and done type situation. It's like they can't seem
no follow up on any of this
we don't
stuff.
get no follow up on any stuff like that. In Stark County here, we had 5 prisoners escape from the Stark County Regional Community Corrections Center. That looks like a picture of the place. and just looks like a building. I didn't even see a fence around it. So I don't know how difficult it would be to escape from this place, but this guy, Jaden Miller, is awaiting booking at the Stark County Jail. Miller was rearrested late Wednesday in Carroll County without incident. Miller is behind bars for driving under suspension and not using signals before changing course. I bet he's going to have a few more charges on top of that.
Yeah. I guess they used a padlock to bust the window off.
Well, 5 inmates escaped from the Stark County Regional Community Correction Center and 4 remain on the loose. Kent police said the men broke out the first floor window of the Leash Road facility. After getting out of the building, police said the men all ran away. Well, duh. It's not like they're going to stand around and shoot the shit. I mean, come on. Charles May lives up the road. He's afraid. Okay. Oh, God, yeah, said May, because I get up and leave early and my family is there by themselves. Well, apparently that's your responsibility to do something about that, mister. According to police, the escape happened sometime at 8:45 p.m. Monday and 10:13 a.m. on Tuesday?
It wasn't reported until it wasn't reported until 10:15 a.m. Tuesday.
Huh.
What's that, Corey?
That last comment, probably not something to put on the internet. I leave in the morning and leave my family by themselves.
Yeah. No, that's
It's
just
necessary to tell the whole world.
no. It's like people, posting vacation pictures on Facebook while they're still there.
Yeah. Hey, my house is empty. Go ahead.
Yeah. Exactly. This guy's.
Unless it's like my house, my wife's a scarier shot than I am. So.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well. This guy says, I was shocked. I live probably a mile away from the jail, and I saw it in the morning on Facebook, actually, and they escaped the day before that, said Joe Hoffman, who lives about a mile from the jail. I mean, why didn't they say something a day ago? Probably because they didn't know the guys were gone. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
Hoffman is angry he wasn't informed sooner and says this isn't the first time this happened. So apparently, this place has got a problem keeping on the prisoners. 2 years ago, I called 911 when there was one running through I live on the other side of 62. And they were running up through the woods, and I saw a guy running up through the woods in the sheriff's department coming back and forth, and I called 911 to hear it was an escaped inmate, and they caught him, Hoffman said. I'm worried, Hoffman said. I mean, I don't own a gun, but maybe it's time to get one. Well, we can help you out with that, sir, and we can also get you some proper training to be able to use it, not only successfully, but lawfully. So there you go. So some cool stuff for the concealed carry area. We got a new law that has been introduced. And we have to think about things logically when we introduce laws, because the next one is going to absolutely delete this one. So we got a penalty for not telling police you have a gun in the car. The new GOP bill says $25. This is going to reduce failing to notify from $1,000 and a first-degree misdemeanor to a civil citation with a maximum fine of $25. You still have to notify them if they ask or ask for your identifying information. And this goes on to tell us how they're going to do that. And this guy Wigman was a co-sponsor of the constitutional carry bill. It was the best way forward. But the problem is here, guys, they introduced this bill. And I don't know whether to read into this or not, but the constitutional carry bill, HB 178, has now been moved out of committee and is now on the floor for sponsor testimony and proponent testimony, which will completely remove the requirement to notify the police officer. So I don't know which one is going to get through, but maybe one, maybe both. But I don't understand why you would write dissimilar laws and then introduce them in one party at this. This one's been introduced for a long time. Why would you go back and write that $25 bill?
Yeah.
And waste the taxpayers' money on this unless this guy is telling us that they don't have the votes to pass constitutional
they don't
carry.
think the other one's going to go through, so they're going to try and push for something they think they can push.
Right.
I would imagine that's probably, I don't want to say that, for sure, but that just seems like that's what's happening here. So, yeah, that's what we need to do is start writing our representatives. And like Nate said earlier, go vote. Make sure you vote for the right ones that, align with your views. I don't care which way you vote. I just want you to go out and vote, because if something happens and you don't like it, then you have no right to complain if you didn't go vote. So a couple things in committee. We will keep you updated on what passes and what doesn't. The next thing that I want to kind of touch on here, I want to turn it back on here for a minute. Corey on for a minute. Hey, look at this guy right in the center. Right in the center. Look at that face.
The only good looking one of the bunch.
Okay, so we got this next article, and I'm not going to read through the whole thing. I want you folks to stop in and check that article out. It's by the Well-Armed Woman, but it's got to do with female folks and firearms and the growing women in the shooting sports, in defensive classes, in concealed carry classes. And we can tell you for 100% that in our particular corner of the world, we have seen women outnumber the men for at least a couple of years.
Oh yeah.
It is now actually a rarity to see a class where the men outnumber the women. That's just the way it is now. They are as interested. They are as good.
Most of the time better.
Yeah, a lot of the times better. And they are more motivated to do it right. So you guys out there, take a page from this book, because they are getting serious with this kind of stuff. And obviously we think it's a good thing. I mean, what was the old saying with Sam Colt? God made men, Sam Colt made them equal. So that works for, that applies more to ladies than it does to us, actually, for the most part. So
Yep.
if you're traveling around the state of Ohio, respect the ladies, because if you don't, she might just cap your ass.
Might happen.
Might happen.
So, all right, we're going to check this out. And I'm not going to go through the whole article because it's like a 5 or 6 page article, but it's really cool. So go check it out. I just want to kind of point out this graph here in the center. It's got age groups, and I know the ladies do not like us to use age groups. The cool part that I want to donate here, yes, the older folks are, a pretty big majority. They got this big blue thing here, but if you take and combine all of the other age groups, they account for more than half of the respondents to this. So This isn't exclusive to an age group. And then they got a couple other charts down here. This is pretty cool. Marital status, right? And this is kind of a Captain Obvious statement, but obviously the younger that they are, the more single votes you're going to get. And as they get a little older, they get less single. And then if you look at the married graph here, as they're younger, they're less of them are married. And as they get a little older, the married graph goes up. And then you have, divorced and widowed and stuff like that in there. And, age plays a factor in that kind of stuff. But the younger age group, the vast majority of them are single. And then you go to 26 to 35, and the vast majority of them are married. But there is still a large single component. About 25% of them are single. So this is the demographics that they're playing in. Look at the income. So 18 to 25 years, once again, we would expect the income to be a little less, right? Which, here we go, less than $20,000 a year. But if you notice, there isn't there isn't an income in here that really isn't unrepresented. This is across all walks of life. And then you get 26 to 35 and look, their income goes up, right? So that's, you know, pretty obvious. And then once you get past 65, that's kind of retirement age, right? Most people want to retire at least by 65. The income goes down a little bit. But this walk thing of, you know, we're always proponents that, you know, the minorities and the poor are most benefited from, you know, shall issue permitting processes and access to firearms and training and how that stuff's going to work out. And they're the ones that can affect the crime the most. But if we look at this, you'll notice that there isn't an income demographic that leaves this out.
No.
Here's the real thing about it. Money spent on handguns. And if you dig into this article, you'll find out that the ladies spend the bucks. We've been saying for years, mom generally controls the purse strings in most families. So guess what? If she wants to buy something, she's going to buy the best one she wants. And 46 to 55 looks like
a lot of $500 guns, up to $500 guns, a lot of up to $1,000 guns.
Mm-hmm. So this $5,000 and more category.
$1,000 guns, like this one.
I think this is.
They're starting to buy custom shit.
No, this is total money spent.
Oh,
this is total money spent on guns and gear, not just one particular one. But if you dig in,
but probably all.
Yeah, the thing is, they're saying that respondents over 35 years, it wasn't a single purchase; it's multiple purchases throughout the year. Okay, so here's the real big one: do you conceal carry? Yes and no. 61% of all of the respondents said, "Yep, we carry." So.
They just might cap your ass.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an absolute huge number. Now, if you dig into that article, you'll find that they actually had 5,000 respondents to that, which is it isn't a big sample of the entire U.S., but they have demographic reach problems and everything else like everybody else does. So they got a pretty good representative sample, I would imagine.
That pie graph is a very good representative sample of a lot of the classes we have here.
Absolutely
it is.
They are. Yep.
It is.
It really is.
What I will say though is we are starting to see the age go down. Obviously, if you're doing a basic handgun class because they want a carry license, or if you're doing pistol fundamentals because they want to learn a little bit more about it, stuff like that, you're not going to see as many 18 to 21 demographics unless they're with mom, sister, dad, brother, cousin, family member, something like that.
Classes.
Yeah, especially in the advanced classes. They're just not there yet. But what we are seeing is the age falling for the women that we're seeing a good spread in age groups.
Yeah.
So
late
that's
20s
a lot
to 40.
A lot more of them across the age group as a whole are going for higher levels of training. So they're paying the money, taking the training, and advancing their skill levels to do the best that they can at doing this, because they know if they need it, they need to be the best that they can be.
And they're doing it better than you guys. So if you're a dude out there in the audience, take note of that.
Yeah, it still goes back to the fact that less than 2% ever take any more training.
Yeah. So, mess in Virginia continues. I don't know if this is the worst gun control bill yet, but it's pretty bad. I think the one they got coming down the pipeline where they remove all the shooting ranges and ability to take any type of firearms training without being labeled a domestic terrorist is probably the worst one, but I'm kind of biased to that. But whatever. They passed an assault weapons ban. They passed a high capacity magazine ban. I should say standard capacity because it's anything over 12 rounds. So no
Grandfather clause.
no grandfather clause. So this is going to be a mess. There's already militia groups that are going bonkers over this. There's people going bonkers over this. So yeah. The thing is, it just goes right back to vote. Vote. Make sure you get out and vote.
Yep.
So
Ryan, Corey, you guys said you got to take off.
Yeah, we're gonna take off, squeeze off a few more rounds, and go find some dinner.
okay,
All right.
you guys enjoy.
All right.
Have a good one.
All right. See you later.
See you. All right. Just a little bit more news. We're running a little behind tonight. The Mossberg Firearms Factory is on fire, or was the 13th. They got one employee suffers a minor injury. Looks like the fire started at 9:15 a.m. Officials at the company said all employees evacuated and one was treated for minor injury. Fire department activated a New Haven special hazards team to handle a potential hazardous materials incident because manufacturing chemicals were close to the fire. Crews from the State Department of Energy and Environmental Protection were called in to check runoff and test the atmosphere. Website for OF Mossberg Sun says the company, founded in 1919, is the oldest family-owned firearms manufacturer in America. The company issued a statement thanking first responders for their quick response and worked to limit damage to the facility. They said the company was closed Thursday and is expected to return to normal operations on Friday. So all of us Mossberg fans out there, hopefully there isn't a gap in production because they got some nice stuff and they got some new stuff.
We're turning them back to work on Friday, so it doesn't sound like it was too bad of a fire.
Nope.
So, which is a good thing.
Yes, exactly. So, all right. So for that, I think we're going to do our product of the week and pull a sign off. What do you think? I think we'll do that. So our product of the week is something that almost everybody is gonna need, should have in their defensive firearm, and these we've been using them for quite a while now. We have tested them. Stand behind them. That would be Sig Sauer Elite Performance V Crown ammunition. We have tested them in all the calibers. They function really well. They have a large hollow point area. They expand well. Here's a 9mm. If I can hang on to it, you guys can see that we tested. We've tested a couple different calibers. I was able to recover a 40 caliber one that actually bounced off the stump in which we had the gelatin sitting on, so it does the same thing. They feed well, they shoot well. I've chronographed these. They're really consistent. They come in a nickel-plated case, which aids in feeding and extraction. They're recognizable through loaded chamber indicators. And the best part about the V-Crowns is they are economical enough to practice with. This is what, the $15, $16 box of ammunition?
Yeah.
Versus $30 for some of the other brands that are out there.
Yeah.
So you're not going to want to shoot a lot of them, but
right.
They're less than $1 a round.
But you're going to want to check them against your target rounds anyway to make sure.
Absolutely.
But you can afford to buy buy a few boxes of them to load up your carry gun and then
shoot a box to try.
Go shoot a box of them and try them out. See how they work. Make sure they stack up on the accuracy.
You can generally, for the most part, you can buy 2 of these for the same money or within a couple bucks as you can buy one of their competitors' brands. So
Yeah.
we really like this stuff.
Yeah.
It comes in a bunch of different weights. It comes in a bunch of different velocities.
Yeah.
They got this.
These the 115s they say they're running 1185, which is a little bit faster than a target round, and it's 359 foot-pounds of
Energy.
kinetic energy.
They got these. They got the 365 brand, optimized for short-barreled stuff. That says these are going. I just saw it. 1,050 feet a second, 282 foot-pounds. So good stuff, guys.
Supposed to be, them 365s are supposed to be for your, your compact 9mm, compact guns and stuff like that. Your little, your shorter stuff that they kind of seem to ramp the velocity up a little bit in a shorter gun.
Yeah. You got one other thing to show us here.
The other thing we got here is that's in the sheath. It's a little K-bar.
The TDI law enforcement knife, right?
Yep, this is a TDI. They make another one like this. I don't have one here as an example. It's a little bit bigger. It's got like more like straps on it to mount it to different things. This has got a belt clip on it. The way that it's mounted, it's kind of to simulate kind of your pistol draw. Nice little knife. I know a lot of guys have been, a lot of guys carry them around for years. I've got one of the bigger ones. Something else you can kind of add to your EDC. You can clip it on. You can kind of tuck it in and clip it on behind your belt. Nobody's really going to notice it. It's just going to give you something that's a little bit of an edge. An edge. A little bit of an edge when people get super close, get on top of you. A lot of times, if you get into those, getting into those fights where you end up on the ground and people are on top of you, or that, more wrestling than, gunfighting, sometimes, especially if they're, if you're in a life or death situation, sometimes, a nice little fixed blade knife that you can, at least get them off of you with is good. And I think these are, pretty good knife, got a nice solid handle on them, pretty sharp. The way that they're built, designed, and bent, they're real easy to just take your average basic, like fish strike and be able to strike somebody and do some damage. Yeah. So little knife,
not expensive,
$40 bucks.
For K-bar, that's a good price.
Yeah, so come on in, check them out.
All right, guys. I think that's what I got for you. You got anything else?
That's all I got.
Yep.
Thanks for stopping by, everybody in the audience. You could have spent your time with somebody else. So, thanks for stopping in. Thanks for the comments. Once again, you want to see something on the show? Drop us a line, sponsccw@gmail.com. Send us a Facebook message, comment on a video, let us know, and we will try and get it on. So that's what we got for you guys. Enjoy your weekend. As always, stay safe and have a good night.